Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review for the Rutger Hauer Marathon. This time it is the Osterman Weekend. Now, this Blu-ray was sent to me by a person named Jamison. If Jamison sees this, thank you very much for this. Very nice gift. But the Osterman Weekend, as you can see, stars Rutger Hauer. May you rest in peace. But it has a pretty damn good cast. You have Craig T. Nelson from Poltergeist, Dennis Hopper. You have John Hurt from the original Alien, Meg Foster from They Live, and of course Leviathan, Chris Sarandon from Fright Night. You also have Burt Lancaster. You have a really, really good cast. And it's the last film directed by Sam Peckinpah, the man who gave us films like The Wild Bunch, among many others, the original Getaway with Steve McQueen, the original Straw Dogs. And I haven't seen enough Sam Peckinpah films to give my good impression of him as a director. But I've seen a lot of clips. I've seen a lot of clips of The Wild Bunch. I've seen a lot of clips of his other films. And you can tell he had talent as a director. By this time, he wasn't really popular in Hollywood because the last film he did was a movie called Convoy, which I had on DVD, but it was a very cheap, crappy video quality. It might as well have been a DVD-R, rough VHS copy of the film, so I tossed it, so I don't have the film anymore. I think it got re-released on an actual good release on DVD and Blu-ray. But Convoy, based on a popular song at the time, that had a lot of troubles and issues because Sam Peckinpah had a drug addiction problem. And I think it got to the point where Chris Christopherson himself had to, the star of the film, had to step in to direct it and, get the film finished. But even though that film was a hit, there's a lot of issues that the studios and producers got from Sam Peckinpah that he was kind of ostracized. So there have been quite a few years. All of a sudden, this book by Robert Ludlum came out, and they're like, hey, let's make a movie. Someone suggested, why not get Sam Peckinpah? And he came in. And granted, I had a fight with the producers, but overall did finish the film. I think at the end, there's some editing the producers had to do with it. This does come with a very good documentary, a 78-minute documentary called Alpha to Omega. It was cool that they got to interview Craig T. Nelson, Rutger Hauer, Meg Foster, John Hurt, anybody who was. They got quite a few people in the interview, so that was nice. And I might actually have to give a listen to this commentary by Sam Peckinpah historians. Definitely curious about that. Give that a listen to sometime. But the film itself, it's a nice take on paranoia, surveillance, manipulation of the media, TV, because Rutger Hauer plays a character. He's a TV journalist who's very critical on the government. And he has friends, Dennis Hopper, Craig T. Nelson, and Chris Sarandon. And them and some of their wives go up for the weekend to Rutger Hauer's place. Rutger Hauer's wife is played by Meg Foster, which is cool because later they would go on to be, granted very briefly, in Blind Fury. So it was nice to see them have more stuff to do in this movie together. And by this point, John Hurt has convinced Rutger Hauer's character that his buddies, Chris Sarandon, Des Hopper, Craig T. Nelson, they are defectors. They are Soviet spies. They are traitors, by showing them surveillance and footage and things of that nature. And John Hurt, he did a really good job making us feel sympathy for the character, because John Hurt, at the beginning of the film, his wife is murdered, and that becomes part of what's John Hurt's motivation for what he's doing. But John Hurt really does make you, in a way, makes it easy to see why people like him and trust him and things of that nature. And it's a good cast working together. It's nice to see all these people in the same room together, playing off each other. Because I've always been a fan of Craig T. Nelson and Rutger Hauer, and it was cool to see them. And then it's not like Chris Sarandon. All these people play off each other. And this is not an action film. You don't want to expecting that. You don't be disappointed. This is more of a little bit of paranoia, thriller, leading up to a finale where there's a hit squad in the house. Some people die, some people don't. Uh, Things are found out. And I'll get more into spoilers starting now. Well, actually, before that, if you're a fan of these actors, if you're a fan of this cast, if you're a fan of Sam Peckinpah, if you like thrillers, it doesn't have a dumb, downbeat ending. Like I said, this cast works very well together. It's worth a look just for the cast alone. I didn't feel it was that long of a movie. It's only an hour and 40 minutes, give or take. It's definitely well worth it. The score is by Lalo Schifrin, who worked on Dirty Harry and other musical scores. I like some of the bits of action directed by Sam Peckinpah. He definitely had a handle on using slow motion. I mean, even if I haven't seen the movie all the way through, I still remember that scene, the Wild Bunch, with the finale and the use of slow mo in that scene. So, get more into spoilers starting now. There's a car chase that happens where his wife and kid are taken, and Rutger Hauer's like, okay, this. You realize later this is John Hurt doing this to make his story believable, that Rutger Hauer's friends are Soviet spies. I thought the car chase was, granted, the editing felt kind of funky, but maybe that's Sam Peckinpah's style when he's using the slow-mo and like cutting back and forth. I thought sometimes it cut back way too much on certain things during a sequence. Like a train comes by and a car gets, not a train, but at this point, this is before that, a car stops and this thing with a material on the back smashes another car's windshield, and then a guy on a motorcycle slides like from here and then slides. It seemed like it was cutting back a bit too much to those certain points. I don't know how to describe it. They would cut to the car, they would cut to the bike, they would cut to Rutger Hauer's character. And once in a while, just cut a bit too much back to the others. Like, okay, we get it. I don't know, it just felt a little bit funky to me. Maybe that's just me. At one point, you think the family's dog, its head is in a refrigerator, but you come to find out it's a fake head. Craig T. Nelson's a lot of fun. Like when Rutger Hauer's like, well, where's my dog? And Craig T. Nelson, he just opens up the fridge and goes, well, he's not there. uh, what you come to find out is John Hurt's playing everyone along. The surveillance was a bit manipulated to make them look like they're spies, but really they're just it's tax evasion. The reason the characters were so secretive to Rutger Hauer is because they're working with this guy to deal with their taxes, and if not, maybe they have to leave the country. And on the flip side, they're paranoid of Rutger Hauer because they think Rutger Hauer will turn on them and let people know because he's a TV journalist. Even though they're good friends, it's one of those things that it's a bit complicated, and part of your brain goes, well, wait a minute, a number of things could have gone wrong. Like, what if someone blurted out the tax evasion thing, like the first day of this weekend? Or what if Rutger Hauer, so how come you guys are Soviet spies? Like, what if he blurted that out? That's the thing, when you make a conspiracy more and more complicated, there's more and more factions of it that make you go, well, wait a minute, what if they did that instead of this? And what if they did that? Well, this, and this had to work. But overall, I was enjoying the story and the cast enough that my brain bypassed that and didn't bother me that much. Also, when the action scene, for the most part, they were handled well. Meg Foster, surprisingly enough, she gets some badass moments. Like, believe it or not, this here with the bow and arrow, that is Meg Foster. That's Meg Foster's character. Because she uses a bow and arrow and kills a bad guy when this hit squad goes into Rutger Hauer's home to clean house. And Rutger Hauer, there's a point where the bad guys have lit the pool on fire, and him and Craig T. Nelson are under the pool. They're in the pool, and Rutger Hauer comes up with his bow gun and shoots and kills a guy. And it makes you feel bad for characters. Like, there's this nice dramatic moment where Craig T. Nelson and Rutger Hauer are trying to contact Dennis Hopper, his wife, and Chris Sarandon and his wife, to get them out of this camper that they're in. And Rutger Hauer even writes it down. And I forgot I think her name is Helen Slater? Helen Shaver. Yeah, Helen Shaver from Tremors 2 Aftershocks, which I love. Helen Shaver, she's Dennis Hopper's woman who is a coke addict. As she sings this, she hums this song because she's coked out. There's kind of Lalo Schifrin in the way he plays the music in tune with the song she's singing. And, Jesus loves me, he told me so. I believe that was the song. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm getting mixed up with another song, but it kind of made it a bit more sad when they don't get out in time. These people die in this camper, and you find out they're really innocent. I thought that was played off dramatically well, mainly because the music and the way Helen Shaver played that part, especially in that point in the movie. And for some reason, I think I saw this once a long time ago, but I thought Craig T. Nelson's character died. That's not the case. It's nice that he lived, that not all the friends died. So it was nice that something, and they didn't kill the dog, and Rutger Hauer's wife and kid, Meg Foster and the kid are taken, and Rutger Hauer's able to turn the tables on John Hurt's character. And again, John Hurt's character is interesting because on one hand, you feel his sympathy. The reason he's doing all this is to get Rutger Hauer to do this interview with Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster's this head guy who sanctioned the death of John Hurt's wife. Got her murdered. So John Hurt is going through all these hoops to be able to, on TV, let people know Burt Lancaster's a murderer. And John Hurt even says, I know I've killed innocent people, but you deceive people. Now people will question it for all time. In a way, it's like John Hurt selling his soul to get back on the guy who killed his wife. So in a way, how John Hurt plays it, I feel sympathy for the character, yet when Rutger Hauer does turn the tables on him and John Hurt gets what's coming to him, you feel sympathy, but at the same time, you're fine with how it happens, if that makes sense, with how John Hurt goes. And Burt Lancaster, he gets found out. Craig T. Nelson helps Rutger Hauer planned this trick, which I thought was a neat trick. Again, goes with that whole manipulation of TV. Nowadays, you could do this kind of film with that deep fake thing. You know, the deep fakes where they make you look like someone else. I do see someone I really can see someone remaking this, but using those deep fakes thing. I'm not saying this film needs to be remade. I'm just saying I do see someone doing this kind of plot with that. Sort of a different take on media manipulation. But yeah, the movie itself. So I keep showing the cover just so I'm doing something. If you're wondering why I always show the cover, just gives me something to do with my hands. This movie is worth a watch. Like I said, for the story pulled me in. The cast do a great job. It made me want to know what was going to happen next. The few bits of action are handled fairly well. Again, once in a while there's some funky editing, but overall fairly well. And the ending I thought was satisfying. The perform Kudos to the cast. He got a really great cast with this. Really, really good cast. And definitely thank Jamison for sending this to me because this is a film I wanted to see for a while. Again, I had seen bits and pieces. And when I decided to do the Rutger Hauer marathon, this just slipped my mind. But thanks to Jamison, now I was able to see it. So thank you so much for that. And rest in peace, Dennis Hopper, Rutger Hauer, John Hurt, Burt Lancaster, Sam Peckinpah. Sadly, quite a few people involved with this have passed on, but their work still lives on. So, yeah, definitely one of my favorite Craig T. Nelson roles. Yeah. I did not know Robert Ludlum was the author of The Bourne Identity. I did not know that. Go figure. Well, to be honest, I like this more than the Bourne Identity. But it's the cast and story interests me more than Bourne Identity. That's really why. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care and stay tuned for more reviews in the Rutger Hauer Marathon. Coming up should be Crossworlds, Wedlock, and Split Seconds. Since I already reviewed The Blood of Heroes on my channel about 2 years ago, and I already reviewed Nighthawks when I did my Sylvester Stallone marathon, and then I already reviewed Blade Runner when the Blade Runner 2049 came out. So I have reviews of those up as well. But thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.